Have you ever been in a dance when you and your partner both know the steps, but something still isn't connecting? And you can feel it viscerally in your body. If you're a lead, what you want to communicate is not translating. If you're a follow, you can't feel the connection. And the more you try to fix it, the more choppy the connection feels.
And if you've experienced this, you've probably thought one of two things. Maybe it's the partner I'm dancing with, or maybe I need to learn more moves.
But what if it isn't about more moves? What if it isn't your partner? What if it's something more subtle, something more foundational?
A lot of dancers think that connection is something that just happens, like it's chemistry, like it's random, like it's something you feel and something you don't feel sometimes.
But connection is not an accident. Connection is not coincidence. Connection is actually something that we can become aware of and something that we as a partner can create, and so can you. And one of the most misunderstood aspects and foundations of connection is timing. To show y'all how this works, we're gonna demonstrate something that always happens on the salsa dance floor, and that's when both people in a couple are doing slightly different timings.
Exactly. So I'm gonna be doing traditional on two, gung gung ba, gung gung ba, gung gung ba.
And I'm gonna be doing the modern on two time step, which is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And we're gonna do those simultaneously so you can see how when these slightly different time steps interact, it creates a little bit of a disconnect in our connection. So that was an example of a partnership where both of the people were doing slightly different timings. And from the perspective of the follow, I want to ask you, how did that feel to have me doing a different timing and you doing another one?
It just felt awkward. There was such a loss of connection to the music, to my partner. We just weren't on the same page.
So now what we're gonna do is we're both gonna be on the same timing this time, and I want you to see how our dynamic seems to click and go right into place. We're gonna both do the traditional on two timing and watch how it goes. So as you can see, when we were both on the same timing, it added a different feel and different effect to our connection. How did it feel to be on the same timing?
It felt so much more connected, like I could understand his language and what he was leading me to do.
So when we really look at partner dancing, we can see that timing is not just about the steps. Timing is what organizes the entire dynamic of two people.
Because when two people are on different timings, even slightly, it affects everything.
It affects the movement between two people. It affects the communication exchange between two people. Most importantly, it affects the tension that two people have.
And tension is the channel through which all communication happens during partner dancing.
Okay, so now that we understand that timing is one of the foundations of connection, we really have to begin before we even touch another person. Because one of the biggest mistakes that I see in social dance is that people rush into the dance. A song comes on, they grab a partner, and they immediately start moving. but they haven't done the most important step yet. They haven't connected with themselves and they haven't connected with the music. So what they're really doing is they're trying to build a connection on a dynamic that isn't grounded. Now, how we remedy this and how we really set the groundwork for a solid connection is we talk about a concept called internal timing. Internal timing is our awareness of how our body is responding to the music, and it's also our awareness of what specific timing we're actually on in the dynamic. This is where a lot of dancers struggle, and there's two main ways that this can come out. The first way that dancers really struggle with this is something called unconscious timing. Some dancers are not aware of their timing at all. They could be moving, but they don't know where the beat is, and they don't know where their break steps are landing. So when this happens, a dancer's steps might look correct, but from the perspective of the dancer, it doesn't feel connected because they're not consciously anchored to the music. The second way that dancers really struggle with this is confused timing. There's dancers that really think they know their timing, but there's still a misalignment. For example, a dancer can tell you that they're gonna dance with you on two, but you don't know if it's modern on two, palladium, son timing, New York on two. You're not sure which one it is. Even something more common is that a dance might start on one timing and subtly shift in and out. And this causes a subtle friction in the connection of the dynamic. So the key idea here is to really know that it's gonna be very difficult to connect with another person if you don't specifically know the exact timing that you're bringing to the dynamic. So this is where we begin with our internal connection, the connection to ourself. And the next time you go out social dancing, I want you to try something different. When a new song comes on, instead of rushing to choose the next person or quickly accepting the first person that comes to ask you, take a moment, take a brief moment for yourself. It doesn't have to be long. Just make it intentional and use this time to tune into yourself, tune into your heart rate, your breath, your emotional state, and ask yourself, am I ready to connect right now? Then, once you've grounded and centered inside of yourself, when you're ready to connect, one of the first things that we do is we connect to the song. Remember, as dancers, we are follows of the song. And when we start to connect to the song, this is where we start to get into and tune ourselves to the pulse, the tempo, and the rhythm of a song. And this doesn't just happen mentally, it happens through our body and through our senses. So I'm gonna show you a few ways of how we really do this. And I'm gonna put on a song and we're gonna practice some ways of how we can connect to the song, just as we would connect to our partner. But before that, the prerequisite of connecting to the partner is connecting to the song. Now, one of the main ways that we're gonna do this is activate our senses. And we're gonna activate first the kinesthetic sense. That's the sense of touch. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start tapping, I'm gonna start clicking, clapping, tapping my foot, swaying left and right. And what this does is this finds and looks for the pulse and it connects to the tempo of the song that's coming on. When the music is coming on, when the band starts to play or when the DJ plays a song, sometimes you'll see people and they'll just be very still. Nothing will be moving in their body and they just might be looking. And you really don't want to be still. You really want to be responsive to those vibrations that are going through the space. And you want your body to respond. You want your senses to respond to the music. And this is exactly what we're gonna do. Now, as we get into more of the kinesthetic sense, after we find the pulse, after we connect to the tempo or the speed of the song, then we'll start isolating specific rhythms. And before getting into the instrumental tumbaos that the instruments are playing, we really want to get into the note values, the main note values, and connect into those so we can find out where our measure begins and ends. And the note values really include the whole note, the half note, the quarter note, and the eighth note. And to connect with these, we're gonna just tap them out. We're gonna tap them out however we want, with our feet, with our hands, with anything that connects us kinesthetically. sense of touch to the music. And what this is gonna do is this is gonna open our receptivity up in our bodies, open our receptivity to the music, and it's gonna allow those vibrations to really integrate into us so that we can naturally respond to the music quickly and efficiently. Okay, now we're gonna play nice, slow pace, Wahida type of song so we can really get into the tempo and the pace. Now the song's already started, my body's already starting to sway to it, starting to feel the tempo of it. Just let your body move naturally. You don't have to worry about any note values yet. Remember, kinesthetic sense. Let your body respond to these vibrations, right? Clapping helps too, clapping. I'm clapping out the tempo of the song. This is the base speed that my basic step will go on. So now that I've given myself a moment to connect to the pulse and the tempo, now I'm gonna start to get into the note values. Now let's start with the basic note value, which is the quarter note. Here we go. Bring this note value to different places on your body, right? Quarter note. Now let's move on to the half note. This is really connecting us to the rhythm and the measure of this song. Bring that value everywhere. Connecting to the song, right? Let's do 8 notes, right? And 2 and 3 and 4 and 8 notes. Bring it different places. Eight notes in the shoulders. Now it's important to also vocalize these sounds. It really helps to internalize the rhythm when you vocalize the sound. Now some instrumental tumbaos, we can use our vocalization, such as the conga tumbao. So this is an example of first connecting with the song. Of course, we don't have to take all this time to connect with the song. More and more as we start to do this, we'll see that it'll only take a little bit of time just in the intro of the song. If we just give that time to really listen in, connect to the song, we can get connected very quickly. So now the reason why we connect with the song and we make sure to give that time to really get into the pulse and the tempo of the song is because we want to do the same thing with our partner, right? We really want to give some moment, give some space for connection with our partner before we start getting into all of our moves and all of our steps. And you see this a lot of the times when people dance, they'll get a partner and immediately start going into intricate turn patterns without first getting a sense of their partner's pulse, getting a sense of their partner's tempo, and getting a sense of what specific time step their partner is executing. Or for example, when it comes to the music, what rhythmic tumbaos are being played by the instruments. Now, the rhythmic tumbaos that the musicians are playing, when it transfers into the dancer, we are playing tumbaos too. We are playing rhythmic cells, but we're doing it with our feet, with our time steps, Remember, a rhythmic tumbao is a repeating rhythmic cell, right? There's different variations of it, but there's a base repeating rhythmic cell. And the same thing happens with our time step. Our basic time step, whether if it's a forward and a back, right? It's basically a repeating movement cell. So we can see that us as the dancers, our instruments that we are using is our bodies. So we treat our bodies like the musicians treat their instruments. When you first start to have touch, physical touch with your partner, this is where this process really starts to kick in, and you really want to become aware of what's going on with the tension in that touch. You really want to feel what it's like. And before getting into any intricate moves or turn patterns, you really want to move that tension around and feel what the texture of the tension feels like. Now, there's four main types of textures of tension. There's fiery tension, which tension that is very fast and quick and impulsive, and you'll be able to feel that. There's earthy tension, tension that sort of holds its ground and stays still and is very dense. There's watery tension, tension that flows, seems to go in curves, and it just moves and undulates and pulses back and forth. And then there's airy tension, tension that builds up and releases, tension that builds up and releases. So when you get into frame with your partner, when you touch your partner, when you ask your partner to dance and you actually touch, you want to become aware, just like with the music, how we become aware of the tempo and the pace. You want to become aware of the quality of tension that this person has with you and the quality of tension that's inside of your dynamic. Now, this is something that you can create with another person if you become aware of it. One of the best ways to do this is before moving into any steps, just move that tension, sway with that tension. If you're in closed position, sway with that tension so you can feel what it's doing. If you're in open position, you can still move that tension around before getting into your basic step, just so you can establish an equilibrium with the tensions, just so you can establish what this person's tempo and what this person's pace really is. Now, when it comes to the composition of a song, the song allows us to do this. Some songs have a long enough intro that allows us to really set what the rhythmic meter is, what the pulse, what the tempo is. Before the song actually kicks in, this intro section, this is where we really have a chance to connect with our partner as well, to find a partner and create a connection before getting into the actual dance. Some intros are longer, some are shorter, but this intro section is really our opportunity to really do this work. And it's not long. Intro sections usually are not very long, but the more we practice this, the less time it'll actually take us to find where the tempo is in the song and with our partner, to find where the pulse is in the song and in our partner. And once we have that established, once we have the equilibrium in the intro of the song, the rest of the song, that foundation is laid out for the rest of the song to be a very strong and grounded bond. Okay, so for the last part of this workshop, the next sense that we're gonna work on, we worked on our kinesthetic sense, the sense of touch, right? Our auditory sense when we start vocalizing the rhythmic tumbaos and the instruments and the note values. The next sense that we want to focus on is the visual sense. And usually the visual sense is given a lot more attention than the kinesthetic and the auditory, which can cause a lot of problems because the visual sense really takes us out of our body. We want embodiment, which is why the kinesthetic sense is so important for dancers. The sense of touch is so essential for dancers to be able to integrate all of these things into. But for the visual sense, this is something else that we can work on when observing a partner's time step. This is something that really helps dancers to be able to figure out what time step a person is actually on. You can figure this out by watching their time steps, watching where their break steps land and what beats their break steps land on. So for this next section, this last section of this workshop, I'm going to play the same slow pace, nice and slow pace Wahida, but I'm going to switch my time steps. And I want you to see if you can figure out which time steps I'm using. I'm going to switch either into salsa on 1. I'm going to do modern salsa on 2. I'm going to do son timing, and I'm going to do New York Palladium timing, right? These 4 different time steps, I'm going to change between them. And all I want you to do is watch my feet, watch my time steps, see if you can see which one I'm actually embodying in that moment. All right, so thank you everybody for watching. This is a short workshop into some of the concepts and techniques that we use for partner connection in connection with timing, and why timing is so important, and why timing is actually one of the foundational elements of creating a very established connection with your partner. We go over deeper into these concepts in the school community, and I hope to see everybody there.